In today's episode, Karen wants guac. My house, my rules, okay. Boss says contractors can only have one smoke break during our shift. So let's get started. Karen wants guac. This happened to me about 2 years ago, but a former co-worker just reminded me about it, and I'm pretty sure it counts as MC. I'll try and keep it short, but it is a little long. I used to be a service manager at one of the biggest locations of a popular Mexican grill. I won't say which, but guac was $1.95 extra, and we were required to ask everyone if they were okay paying that price. One Sunday morning, our second busiest shift of the week, 2 of my line people called out, so we were struggling to get all of our prep done before opening at 11. We are just wrapping up when in comes Karen 10 minutes before opening through the side door marked employees only with 15 preteen girls in tow. My cook recognizes her as she regularly comes in during the dinner shift, and is extremely abusive and cruel to all the Latino workers. Karen tells me they can order whatever they want, throws her credit card at me and goes to sit down at a table and diddle on her phone. Now I can't ring up her order without her standing there because of the company rules, and I am 30 weeks pregnant and just want to take my break. I prego waddled over to Karen's table to try and inform her of that when she literally flicks her hand at me to dismiss me. Not only have I been at the store since 7 and done 2 different people's jobs on top of my own, I have my son's head grinding against my pelvic bones and kicking me like crazy. I am in no mood. When I try to tell her again, she looks at me with what I can only describe as seething contempt and says, "What part of they can get whatever they want did you not understand? I don't care what you charge me as long as I get a receipt. Don't interrupt me again, or I'll get your fat A**s fired." Now I never cry, but that almost got me. Motherhood is awesome, but pregnancy sucks. I finally managed to pick my jaw off the ground and stammer, "All right, ma'am, I'll ring up whatever they want and bring you a receipt." The girls were really nice and most of them ordered double meat, and they all got a bottled water and chips and guac. Every last one. My cashier and I are just vibrating with glee as we ring them up and watch the bill climb to like $250. I brought the bill to Karen and was pretty excited when she didn't immediately check it. I made my own food and told the cook to come get me when the show starts. I'm halfway done eating when I see him waving to the camera, howling with laughter, so I head up. Karen is foaming at the mouth screaming for the manager, and when she sees that that manager is me, she literally grinds her teeth and slaps her receipt on the table. She manages to choke out the word refund. The girls have all pretty much finished their food, so I inform her that I won't be doing that because I would lose my job for giving away that much critical inventory, meat, guac, cheese, for free. Then I gently remind her that she told me twice that they could get anything as long as she got a receipt. She just keeps demanding a refund and calling me stupid and fat, again, pregnant. At this point, her screaming is holding up the very long line and customers are shouting at her to just leave. That's when she pushed me. King hard. My cashier caught me so I didn't fall down, but 2 of our regulars, who are police, see it and immediately cuff her. In this state, any use of physical force against a pregnant woman is classified as aggravated battery or something like that. I felt bad for the kids and I was fine, so I kept telling them I didn't want to press charges, but they said that at that point it didn't matter because the woman had done it in front of on-duty officers, so she getting arrested. They had to call the kids' parents to come get them because she was their church's youth leader and get statements. My GM came in and let me go home with a full day's pay. She tried to take the case to trial, but they had video and like 20 witness statements, so she ended up taking a couple years probation or something. All because I did exactly what she told me to. My house, my rules, okay. So a few years ago my dad was moving out of his house, and in with his parents due to some health problems with my grandma. This was Eva's summer break, and I was just out of high school at the time, about to go into college, so I had absolutely nothing to do all summer as I waited to move out of state. My dad never was and still isn't super organized, whereas I am alphabetized my own bookshelf with a full system type A about keeping things in order. Call me weird, but I really enjoy reorganizing things / cleaning. it just hits that button for me. So being that he had about 2 months until he closed on the house, I just start to pack up some of the house for him. Basement was a disaster, and I had wanted to tear it up for years. So within the first day I had made a significant dent in the basement, which ended up being a very involved process. I didn't realize when we had moved in that a lot of the stuff from our old house was still packed haphazardly because my brother and I were too young to really help. So I went through the process of unpacking the still packed boxes from house 1, labeling the boxes the way I wanted to, and then repacking those boxes appropriately. After about 3 days of this I get about 50% done, including cleaning/packing my room and some of the garage. Hey, race the build up to the MC. My dad comes down to help me, all good with me. I start explaining where things go and my dad wants to change it. I resist, explaining that I already have the system, and that I have been doing the bulk of the packing, so he should probably just go with me on this one, which is when he hits me with the namesake of this post. So I relent, because I know what will happen. Anyone that's really type A will agree with me that the only thing more frustrating than things being chaotic and out of order is things that are slightly out of order. Which is what I knew would happen. Regardless of the fight Dad and I had, he ended up almost following the system. Mostly things that belong in the labeled boxes went where they were supposed to, except for a few very important odds and ends that got put, well, not where they were supposed to. I noticed this, but because of my house my rules, clearly he has a plan, so I don't say anything, straight face. I knew the payoff was going to be a slow burn, and it came several months later when I was in school across the country and unable to help. Dad calls me one day very flustered because he can't find something he needed. He had been in the storage unit he rented in my hometown for the better part of 3 hours looking. Now the storage unit got packed horribly by the moving crew. I have been in there a few times after this story, and I feared for my safety. It's a legitimate labyrinth/jungle gym and a nightmare to get through, not to mention this was midsummer, and there was no AC. So Dad is mad on the phone asking me where it is, and I ask him if it's in the box I labeled in big red Sharpie important SHIT. He says no, and I smile a bit. Then he says, well, you were in charge of packing all of this stuff, and now I can't find it. That's when I calmly reminded him of the blowout fight we had over this exact issue, and how he commandeered my operation afterwards. I told them that if I was actually in charge it would be in the box labeled important shit. He hung up on me after that. I love my dad and I had no problem helping him out. We laugh about it today, but I can't say I didn't get a good chuckle at the thought of him sweating and cursing climbing around in that F***king storage unit death trap. He recently found another place to live now that my grandparents have more in-home assistance, and I've already worked out that I'm gonna come help him move. We already agreed I'm in charge this time. Boss says contractors can only have one smoke break during our shift. A little background, I work on a building site. We're renovating a building on a university to be ready for the students in September, so we're on a pretty tight schedule. Despite this, we've been making good time. I work on the electrical team with 6 engineers including me and the supervisor. We had just finished installing some lights, so me and 2 others headed off to the smoke shelter, while the supervisor sets up the next job. There's no general policy when it comes to smoke breaks. As long as you're getting your work done in a reasonable amount of time, you're pretty much free to do whatever as long as you don't take the piss. This helps to keep work morale high. We generally take about 5 minutes. As we're stood there talking, the site manager walks past us. He didn't say anything, but we could feel him staring daggers into us. We just smiled and continue talking. After we finish, we walk back on site and get our next task. The day continues as normal. The next day, we're informed by the supervisor that we will only be allowed to take 1 smoke break per day, and we would need to let him know before we took it. We protested, but supervisor told us it was out of his hands. While we only took around 3/4 smoke breaks, there was a noticeable drop in morale for the day. Little did they know I was planning my revenge. A few years prior, I took a trip to Cuba and brought back some cigars. I slipped 3 into my bag before I set off to work the next day. We finish off a task and let the supervisor we're taking our smoke break for the day. I headed straight for the break room to grab my cigars and meet my coworkers at the shelter. Barely able to contain my smile, I ask, "Hey, wanna try a cigar?" Their faces light up as they realize my malicious compliance. They told us we could only have one smoke break. They didn't say how long. About 15 minuets in and our cigars halfway finished, the site manager spots us and comes over to ask what the heck we thought we were doing. We just told him we were taking our smoke break, and we just wanted to make the most of it. He let out a loud laugh and we continued talking for a while. He let us know that people higher up in the company weren't happy with the progression, even though we were ahead of schedule. We told him how we usually take smoke breaks between tasks, and how this wouldn't affect our productivity, and he gave us permission to take smoke breaks whenever we want since we seem like good people. Just don't bring any cigars and don't tell the other workers. Our supervisor nearly doubled over with laughter when we told him. Yes, it was dumb, and yes, we could have lost our jobs over this. We're lucky he had a good sense of humor. Was it worth it to see the look on his face? Absolutely. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.